Good morning, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast. Well, the drama doesn't stop because it's the weekend. We've got updates with Justin Baldoni. A new trailer has been dropped last night that shares a podcast Justin will be doing on Monday. Now, hold your horses. The more you look into it, you realize this podcast was actually filmed in late 2024. But the trailer certainly gives us a little clickbait into what might be spoken about in this podcast. So why don't we do this? Let's dive right into it. I'm going to share the podcast with you, and it's on Gents Post, Redefining Masculinity, which some people eye roll when you talk about redefining masculinity, and for that reason it's really a projection of their own sort of insecurities about men opening up about their feelings. That's really what it comes down to. I see this all the time. Our good friend said, "Oh, Dave, Justin wears a man bun," and I had a man bun, and I was like, what's the fear about men with long hair? Like, what's the fear about men opening up about their love lives? What's the fear about men crying? Well, it exists, and maybe it's from past trauma because your dad threw the remote when he couldn't get something done, and we've white knuckled it through our parents not being able to express their emotions. I'm not too sure, but I value people who express their emotions, men, women, whatever. So I'm going to share this trailer with you, and then I'm going to share several other podcast clips from Justin so we can get a good idea of the tone we might receive from him. Here it is.
I had a intense year. This morning I sent a text message. I had anxiety.
Why is that?
I haven't talked about this yet, but
there it is. Brevity is a virtue. That's all they give us. Don't miss it. Monday at 2 p.m. East Coast. They say filmed November 2024. So Justin says, this morning I sent a text message. My question is to Blake Lively. Who was it to? What was the text message? No, as we know from the timeline, it's more likely than not he wasn't discussing Blake Lively at all that period. But what's interesting is Gents Post, there's no way they would have had this long of a turnaround for releasing a podcast with Justin Baldoni. Chances are they paused releasing it in November or December because of the gigantic lawsuit that Blake filed against him right before Christmas. He, of course, returns the favor. $1 billion worth of lawsuits, right? She's suing him for hundreds of millions. He's suing her for $400 million. He's suing New York Times for $250 million. Jed Wallace is suing Blake Lively, I guess, for only $9 million, although I heard it was $100 million. Whatever the number is, it's up when you count lawyers' fees. There's $1 billion at stake here. Now, I just did an interview with my pal Rachel Juarez, who is a very high-powered attorney. She stars on the CBS show Hot Ones. Is that what it's called? Hot Ones? No, not Hot Ones. Wait, what's the Rachel Juarez show? Hold on, Rachel. She's gonna kill me. Hot Ones is the one where Hot Ones is the show that you eat hot wings. Hot Bench. Now imagine if they ate hot wings on the hot bench. I'd be all for it. Either way, that's not what this video is about, but that's coming next. So do me a solid. I'm going to drop that interview with Rachel Juarez when we get up to 110,000 subscribers. So now's your chance to hit the subscribe button, and as soon as we get up to 110,000 subscribers, I'm dropping my full interview with her, which is super interesting because we talk all about settlement possibilities and why she thinks Justin Baldoni would settle this even if no money's exchanged. Very interesting. So yeah, that's what we have from the podcast here. Will Justin Baldoni be discussing the court case? Now, of course, this was before he was sued, so I don't think we're going to get any specifics, but what we may get is sort of a look at what his vibe was when that was happening. I'm going to share another interview. Actually, I've got a lot to share with you right now with Justin Baldoni speaking with Rainn Wilson. And on this one from 4 months ago, you get a real good idea if you read between the lines where Justin Baldoni was with regards to his mood, his emotions, knowing at that point he was being threatened with sexual harassment lawsuits. So yes, when we watch this on Monday, we're going to know that Justin Baldoni was being threatened. His livelihood was being threatened at that point, but he was getting his crisis management team ready to deal with Blake Lively. So will we get anything from him about the hardships of what he was going through? We'll have to see. Now, in other words, in other news, we've got a clip here of what's her name here? I'm really having a hard time. It's Saturday morning. Chelsea Handler. So here she is, Chelsea Handler, talking about the Justin Baldoni case here from, I believe, the People's Choice Awards. Is that right? Critics' Choice Awards. Who watched it? Not me.
Waking up every day, not knowing what news we are going to hear that will disappoint or horrify us. So it is important in times like these to have a distraction. And that's why I want to personally extend my gratitude to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. Thank you.
All of Hollywood.
For providing us with that distraction. I'm grateful. I think we're all grateful. And I think we're good.
I think we're good.
I think everybody in this room, no matter whose side you're on, we can all agree to accept that there's probably not going to be a sequel. Waking up.
How funny is that? Hey, maybe there will be a sequel. Who knows? You know, I actually watched the first half of It Ends With Us last night. And the reason why I haven't watched it yet is because I've got a 9-month-old. We can't watch movies with a 9. He's not allowed screen time. My wife doesn't want to watch movies that might have, you know, she's in the stage of her life where she wants happiness. And just the idea that a movie might have DV in it, she's like, I don't want to deal with that. And I understand that. So when she fell asleep last night, I started watching it and fell asleep. But I got to tell you, I loved it. I really did. I only got up to the part where they're still happy, so I don't know what happens next. But that rooftop scene, I mean, there was some really powerful chemistry between them. So here's Justin Baldoni in a podcast with Rainn Wilson. This was 4 months ago, so this could have been right around when he filmed the other one. He was going through a lot. Here he is opening up Rainn Wilson's podcast from The Office, discussing how much he appreciates Rainn as a friend. It makes you wonder if Justin was really, you know, with his back against the wall, sort of evaluating, maybe auditing who his real friends were and having that amount of appreciation for them.
Thanks, Justin. Welcome to Soul Boom.
So happy to be here. Before we start, I'm going to say something.
Okay.
I think people think they know you.
Okay.
You're very vocal. You talk about the things you care about. You host this show. You have wonderful thought leaders and people on this show. But I don't think people really know you.
Are you going to try and make me cry?
Nope. I'm not going to try to make you cry. But here's what I want. Here's what I want your audience to know. We're real friends. I think. Are we real friends?
Yes,
Okay.
we're real friends.
Yeah. When someone's going through something that you love, you go out of your way to make sure they feel seen. When I've needed you, when I've needed help, when I've needed love, you show up. And that's not something that you can capture on a podcast. So before we get into whatever the hell all this stuff is, clearly my career and all of these things, I need you to know that I love you and thank you.
That's so sweet. I really, I'm trying to not make a joke about it and dismiss it and take that in.
Take it in. You can make a lot of jokes later.
I really deeply appreciate that. Thanks. Okay.
And I mean, come on. What can you not love about someone sharing their pure gratitude? And Rainn Wilson, what a guy. And by the way, I hate to say it, I don't know if this podcast was filmed at Rainn's home, but I believe he lost his home in a wildfire right after this was filmed. I could be wrong about the location of that, but it was really sad to find out that he also lost his home. So here is another clip of Justin Baldoni. And you could say, oh, this is performative, this is fraudulent. I just don't buy it. I think this is his personality type. And here he is on We Are Man Enough podcast talking about the love he has. Have a listen.
So fucking much.
And again, he's talking to his buddy because people have said, Justin Baldoni, they listened to his voice note he left Blake Lively regarding their film project, and they go, oh, he's whispering. Well, he's doing this to a man, so maybe that's just the way he talks.
You're one of the best friends I've ever had in my entire life.
He said, you're one of the best friends I've had in my entire life. So, hey, I mean, look, wouldn't it be nice to be a friend of his, it seems. So what else do we have here? Here's another podcast clip of him with Lewis Howes, redefining masculinity, talking about his faith. Now, this is all interesting. The more you kind of wonder and unpack who he is as a person, not just who he is in this lawsuit.
Faith, Baha'u'llah, who's the founder of the Baha'i faith, he says to ornament our souls with honesty, right? Like a Christmas tree ornament. And that the foundation of all spiritual virtues is truthfulness. But yet that's the thing that we lack the most, right? And you can't build anything on something with a weak foundation. You can't build anything. But yet we enter into relationships and transactional relationships of all kinds for misrepresentation of truth. So like you enter a relationship from the start, if you're not honest, that's not going to work. You enter a friendship, if you're not honest, that's not going to work. And honesty has so many varying degrees. When I think about honesty for me, it's just I want to be honest in every situation because we're only here for a short amount of time. We're not here for that long. So what's the point of not being honest? If I have a feeling, why would I not talk about that feeling when the time is right? Of course, there's always a time and a place. In my faith,
so interesting that he talks about his faith because we're actually going to get into his faith. Actually, let's dive into it right now. So his Baha'i faith is interesting. I've actually been speaking with somebody in his same faith, in his religious world, and they've sort of tried to explain to me all of the principles of this faith because it's something I had never really heard of before. So the main message that they give is unity and oneness of humankind, which I actually love because when you think of, when Wayne Dyer back in the day would talk about universe and the law of attraction, you would break down universe into uni, meaning one, and verse, which is a part of a song, one song. Humans, I believe, vicariously are all connected with like one greater heartbeat. That's why it's so painful when we have a cancer breakout in society. That cancer being maybe a way of thinking, maybe it's tragedy that happens on the other side of the globe. We mourn for each other. We feel for each other. If I watch you get kicked in the face, it actually hurts me to a degree. My brain registers that as pain. That's what flinching is when we see and the opposite is true when our team wins the Super Bowl. Go Eagles! I'm a Patriots fan. Go Chiefs! Whatever. I hope everyone wins. Whatever. The real winner is whichever actor gets a good Super Bowl commercial. But you feel that joy as well. So. I don't know if that's going to help Justin displace a lot of the feelings he's had the last couple months or even couple years dealing with this situation. But it's very interesting to hear about these teachings. So there's just 13 real quick ones. The oneness of mankind. It is not for him to pride himself who loveth his own country, but rather for him who loveth the whole world. The earth is but one country and mankind its citizens. Boy, if we could all feel that way, we would probably get rid of wars that come from arbitrary, borders that we've created. The oneness of religion. All these divisions we see on all sides, all these disputes and opposition are caused because men cling to ritual and outward observances and forget the simple underlying truth. It is the outward practices of religion that are so different, and it is they that cause disputes and enmity, while the reality is always the same in one. The reality is the truth, and truth has no division. Truth is God's guidance. It is the light of the world. It is love. It's mercy. These attributes of truth are also human virtues inspired by the Holy Spirit. There'll be people that are sort of hard-nosed Christians that say, no, the Christian Bible is the way. And I think if that's your point, you're missing it, because what we're talking about is any of the different gifts that we've received, whether it be the message of Jesus or Allah, Buddha, Krishna, it really doesn't matter as long as they're sharing a message of love. It really doesn't matter who the messenger is. So people have come, from different worlds and different regions and different corners of the planet to share messages of love. Why not just say, you know what? While we might call these religious names something different, why not just admit or consider the idea that they're all preaching the same thing, which is that the power and positive energy of love trumps that of hate. And when you think of religion in that way, you get rid of the foolishness, the control, the power that humans have tried to enact on religion as we've changed the meanings of Bibles and pulled out verses to prove our point and just realized, no, when it comes down to real love, if that is what Justin was showing here at Rainn Wilson, is gratitude for someone else. And when you have that gratitude for how much someone else means to you, they're going to live up to that more often than not. independent investigation of truth. Furthermore, know ye that God has created in man the power of reason, whereby man is enabled to investigate reality. God has not intended man to imitate blindly his fathers and ancestors. He has endowed him with mind, or the faculty of reasoning, by the exercise of which he is to investigate and discover the truth. And that which he finds real and true, he must accept. Religion as a source of unity. He sets forth a new principle for this day in the announcement that religion must be the cause of unity, harmony, and agreement among mankind. If it be the cause of discord and hostility, if it leads to separation and creates conflict, the absence of religion would be preferable in the world. So that's so wild, like, because religion has been the creator of war across many aspects of our world. We actually have a war breaking out right now, that being, my religion's better than yours. I'm persecuted for my religious beliefs. And I've said this time and time again, that if we were to practice Jesus's beliefs, that we would, he preaches love. He doesn't preach like, all of the hate and the rhetoric that's been coming out. He preaches love, whether you're heterosexual or homosexual, or whether you're trans or whether you're not. He preaches love. Those other things just don't matter. And if you do feel that you're being, divided by thoughts of negativity and fear, just remember that. That's not what love is. That's not the preachings of good, like, healthy religion. The evolutionary nature of religion. The Bahá'ís view religion as a progressive evolutionary process which needs to be updated as humanity evolves mentally, socially, and spiritually. Every so often, a new prophet is sent to humanity to update religion to the current needs of mankind. These prophets bring essentially the same spiritual message to mankind in a form that meets the needs of the people of their time. Bahá'ís believe that Baha'u'llah, am I pronouncing that right, has brought an updated message for mankind today. This is what I love, because the new messenger is Bernie Sanders. No, I'm kidding. Or is he? I don't know. But it is this idea that we should not live based on certain teachings from thousands of years ago. We should update those to where we are today. And I think people do evolve, and the conversations we could have today transcend that of our teachers from thousands of years ago. Harmony between religion, science, and region. Peaceful consultation as a means for resolving differences. This is an interesting one, because that's kind of what Justin was doing in that voice note. In the Baha'i faith, difference of opinion is not squelched. In fact, it is encouraged. The shining spark of truth cometh forth only after the clash of differing opinions. However, differences of opinion can be expressed in a way that doesn't humiliate another human being. The Baha'i principle of consultation requires that an individual be detached from his or her opinions and always be open to the truth from whoever or wherever it comes from. That seems like shedding your ego. So these are all great. Again, having never heard anything about this religion, I was talking to my parents, who are, I would call, devout Catholic, although I would say my mom leans extremely spiritual outside the Catholic world. And she was talking about this and loved a lot of these ideas. I mean, how could you not? And by the way, who are we to try to convert everybody into which God we believe in as the better one? This takes away that divisiveness and says, your God, my God, as long as they're practicing universal love and basic beliefs of basic human rights. I mean, this is a good thing. It behoveth the sovereigns of the world, may God assist them, or the ministers of the earth, to take counsel together and to adopt one of the existing languages or a new one to be taught to children in schools throughout the world, and likewise one script. Thus the whole earth will come to be regarded as one country. I don't know if we'll get there, but I definitely would love to aspire to. Universal education, the elimination of all forms of prejudice, equality of men and women, the abolition of the extremes of wealth and poverty, universal peace. So isn't that beautiful that he shares that religion? It's not one that's trying to convert us in any way to fear others. There's no fear at all from what I've read in these teachings. So I loved it. So again, if we hit 110,000 subscribers, I will drop the podcast episode that we've got with with lawyer Rachel Juarez. I say judge because she plays a judge on TV in Hot Ones, Hot Bench that is, where they eat chicken wings and discuss court cases. So either way, I wanted to play lastly this clip from Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's attorney, where he gives a witness to Justin Baldoni's character. Here's what he had to say.
I'm not really sure, whether it's going to go to trial or not go to trial, but I just know one thing, like Justin really is a great guy. I wish this was more about him and less about negativity, frankly.
Don't you feel like you've won this PR war now?
It's not even about winning a PR war. Honestly, it's about saving someone's life. I mean, imagine, Harvey, imagine you being accused of something that you just didn't do. You just weren't part of, and you're caught up in this, and you're a real decent human being. And this is a powerful thing that you're going through, and your whole career seems to have been gone and vanished before your very eyes.
And what's interesting here, as we saw Chelsea Handler at the Critics' Choice Awards, is all of Hollywood knows about this. This isn't going away. There isn't an audition he'll go to. There isn't a project he won't be considered for where people don't go, well, the pros and cons of having Justin Baldoni and all of the stuff that drags into it with him. And Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds will have that same conversation. But from a producer standpoint, since he's got a production company, if they can secure fundings for movies, I think people will support him from what we know now. If new information comes out that he is a monster and everything he's saying is hypocritical, then that's a different story. I know it's uncomfortable sometimes to see someone like Justin with longing eye contact speak from his heart, but I think it's something worth embracing. And I say this to people out there, because I said this to my friend Meg when she was like, I don't know, the guy gives me the ick, it's creepy. I say, why do you feel creepy about that? What's so creepy about a man sharing emotions? I'll tell you what, about my generation and all of my guy friends, we have longed for a relationship with another man who would open up. We wish we had that out of our dads, our uncles. We wish we had somebody tell us they loved us for who we are, not just for whatever like macho reasons we're supposed to find our worth. So it's a hell of a message he shares, and I respect it. And we'll have to see in this new podcast how much of that message will involve conversations about Blake Lively, or will there be some, I don't know, words said between the lines? My guess is, if I could tell you my guess, there's no mention of Blake Lively, and he steers away from it because at this point in November of 2024, he was doing a really good job of trying to not make this Blake Lively situation he had public knowledge. But we'll have to see. Let me know what you guys think. I'll be back with that interview with Rachel Wards. You're going to want to see it. It's fascinating. So hit the subscribe button, and we'll be back after this.